Memphis track boy, let's go.
My Colorado swing. My Colorado swing.
Welcome into a special edition of BuffStampede Radio. I'm Adam Munsterteiger, the publisher of BuffStampede.com on the 24/7 Sports Network. And today I'm joined by Forever Buff Derrick Webb, a linebacker at CU from 2009 to 2013. Derrick, first off, I got to say it was great seeing you in person at CU's Pro Timing Day out in Boulder last month. First off, give CU fans an update on your life nowadays. Obviously, you played a big role in Colorado's program for many years.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm excited to talk Buffs football anytime, all the time, especially right now, which is, it's a generational era, in the Buffs history. So definitely, man, I'm back home in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and I'm currently working as an educator, and I'm also still doing music as a songwriter, producer, and an artist. And so I've had several placements on television and movies and media and things of that sort. And so the music has been increasingly, getting more and more substantial. And so that definitely is a blessing. And to see the growth in that area. And also as an educator, being going on my fifth year now as a high school teacher. And so that's also been a blessing as well to be able to make an impact right here in my community. So, man, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm also always, staying connected to the program. So I'm back and forth to Colorado at least once or twice a year just to connect with Buffs and to, stay connected with the program and to continue to support. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at pretty much. And I'd love to kind of get into more detail as we continue.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's great to hear you're doing well in life. And you talked about being an educator. You were a top 15 ranked recruit in the state of Tennessee coming out of Whitehaven High School in Memphis in 2009. And so was Martavius French back in 2020. And I know we had a chance to chat at Pro Timing Day about kind of your role, just being a big brother, a mentor for Martavius French. Obviously, he spent some time at Tennessee, Hutchinson Community College, UTSA, and now he's with the Colorado Buffaloes. What has that experience been like, just watching his growth?
Man, it's been so great. And, you talk about a full circle moment. Here I am, staying connected with the program and, continuing to follow Martavius and his journey, his college football journey. And for me to get the news that he was coming to Colorado, I was like, what a great opportunity to reconnect with him and to be able to help him navigate this new chapter in his life. And so, definitely it was, I tell you, when he was a seventh grader, I was actually just moving back home, finishing my college football career. And so I became a substitute teacher in that interim, time before I kind of figured out next steps for myself. And that's when I met Martavius for the first time. He was this, I think he was about my size at that time, height wise. He was this huge seventh grade kid who was, he wasn't even playing for the middle school team at the time. He was still playing youth football. And so I remember having that conversation with him like, hey, you need to be playing for the team. Look at you, just kind of also encouraging him to go to Whitehaven, which was my former high school as well, because, I remember there being some other options for him. But I said, hey, man, Whitehaven, as far as the linebacker culture, we already had a linebacker tradition at that time. And so I was happy to see him and also a couple of his teammates too, who all went to Whitehaven, and they were very successful, and they had great high school careers. And a couple of them are still playing now. And so, me and Martavius go way back, and I think he's a tremendous athlete. I remember him being kind of in my mind kind of a 3-4. defensive end type body type, but my first time seeing him play, he hit like a Mike linebacker, and so I'm like, wow, I think as far as his ability and what he's able to do, he's so he can do so much. He's so versatile, because he has that length, but he's also tough enough to step into the gaps, and his stats speak for itself when it comes to loss, tackles for loss. Him leading the nation, last year at UTSA. So I'm super proud, and like I said, it's a full circle moment, and it's a wonderful lifetime opportunity to reconnect with someone that I know from back at home, who I've seen grow over the years through his high school career, and now college, having an influence, having an opportunity to, like you said, be that mentor, help them navigate this new space and this transition into his last college season.
My early impression of Martavius French is that he plays bigger than his size at this level. What can Buffs fans expect from him, you think, in 2025?
Oh, man, Martavius is a fighter. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. I was able to really see him in the spring game be very physical in between the tackles, and I could see that he wants to come downhill. And like I said, as far as tackles for loss, when you watch him play, if you had an opportunity to watch the spring game, you see how he was able to get those stats because he doesn't have a lot of wasted movement. He comes downhill with forceful and with a lot of force, and he's not afraid to take on offensive linemen. And I seen him taking on those offensive linemen, seeing his reads as they pull, and he's able to fit the gap. He's physical enough to take on gaps and shed tackles and make plays. And I think they get a real treat in Martavius. Like I said, you get a lot of versatility, and I really like to see him, in that inside backer because of his ability to go east and west. And so he's versatile. He can walk down. He can play 3-4, in my opinion, if they decide to use him that way because of his length. And so, man, I'm really excited to see what he does here at CU.
Just last question about Martavius. You were out in Boulder recently. He's got 1 year of college eligibility left. Did you kind of sense that sense of urgency with him in terms of just kind of how he's approaching things during that trip to Boulder?
I did. I was very impressed. He seems very mature. He's ready for the moment. And he seems very focused, just from the conversations that we had. I had an opportunity to see him, at an event, NIL related event, which, I'm excited about what's coming next as well with that. Coming up this fall, got some exciting things coming up with Martavius this fall. But, he was very focused. And even when he came to the event, with him being on time, with him being ahead of time, being on the event, being accountable, I met with him, at a later time too, and just caught up with him over, breakfast or whatever, and just I could just see that he's very focused and he's very intentional about making this season his best season yet, and taking his opportunity seriously. And that was very encouraging for me to see, because it's a lot of college athletes who would die to be in his position, who would die to be at Colorado, especially right now. So the opportunity that he has is huge, and I can tell that he's taking it very seriously.
You mentioned that you try to get back to Colorado on a regular basis. When you get back to Colorado, like you did here recently, any spots you have to hit up?
Man, when I'm in Boulder, I made it a regular routine to stop at the I think it's called Dish Gourmet or something like that. And I'm giving them some free pub right now. But man, they got some great sandwiches. One of my friends kind of put me on with them, so I've been making my stops to Dish. Of course, I got to stop by and see my man Blue at the Boulder Broker Inn. He's something like the mayor of Boulder, and so I love Blue to death. I definitely got to give Blue a shout out. And you can't leave Boulder without stopping by Pasta J's. You know, you got to go to Pasta J's. Pasta J's is an iconic restaurant. He's an iconic man as far as his involvement and the history that he has with CU. And so, man, I love Jay to death. Love his whole family. And so you got to stop by and get treated like family. You know, that's the most important thing. That's why I keep coming back. It's because these are the people who treat me like family. And so you got to stop by and see them.
That's awesome. What do you order when you go to Pasta J's? I'm a big Hagen option fan.
Oh man, I love the Hagen option. The Alfredo Williams has been my go-to a few times, but you know, I've gone enough times where I've eaten, you know, pretty much the whole menu. The tortellini, burbellini, you can't go wrong.
Jumbo shells are amazing.
Yeah, the jumbo shells are amazing. The Genovese chicken, I've had it pretty much all. I can say it all tastes great. Even if you just want some pizza, stop by and get some pizza.
You gotta like garlic if you go to Pasta J's, and that's my thing. Is like some people hate on Pasta J's and they don't like garlic. Yeah, of course you don't. But I'm always gonna stand up for Pasta J's because I enjoy a meal there every once in a while.
Yeah, I love Pasta J's, and you know, here's a unknown secret. I actually worked at Pasta J's my senior year at Colorado, so I didn't go home. Back home that summer, I actually stayed that summer and trained, and I worked at Pasta J's as a busser. And so he actually kind of gave me one of my first jobs, which I appreciate. And so that was a lot of fun. You know, I learned a lot. And so, you know, shout out to him. Shout out to Pasta J. Definitely stop by Pasta J.
In the NIL era, you would not have had to do that. But like you said, you gain an experience there, right?
You know, it's a little bittersweet, but I'm definitely happy for the athletes who are able to benefit from it. And, you know, include Martavius. You know, I think, once again, it just opened doors for opportunity for people to connect. And it gives the athletes opportunities to connect with businesses and, you know, people within the community, which hopefully can translate to opportunities post-college football. And that's what I would like to see it go. That's what I'm pushing for, you know, and I'm actually working on a workshop right now called Finding Your Niche, which targets those opportunities for athletes to find a niche within themselves, to align themselves to, you know, through the NIL spaces, align themselves to businesses who fit their own personal brand, because now there's opportunities down the road for me to continue in some capacity with these businesses post-college. You know, people don't have to worry, you know, what do I do now? For the ones who don't go pro, or even for the athletes who, you know, everyone eventually that shelf life, it dies. And so you're going to have to transition. And I think it's, you know, it's important for athletes to get the tools right now that can help them with that transition.
You finished your playing career at CU in the top 25 in school history in tackles. When you think back of those 258 tackles at the collegiate level, is there one that jumps to the front of your mind where you just knew you wrecked the other guy on the other side?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in those two tackles came on special teams for me. One game in particular was the USC game.
Robert Woods, right?
Robert Woods, and I need somebody who has some type of power to get that footage back on YouTube, because it was so violent that somebody had it removed from YouTube. It was the greatest HD replay ever seen. You know, it was a huge hit. I'm surprised he held on to the ball, but it was kind of one of those hits that once, you know, we made contact, we both kind of exploded. You know, we both kind of went backwards, and I thought that was cool because I got up first, and so you know, I feel like I definitely won that battle. So that comes to mind, and a Kansas State hit comes to mind too, where, you know, I just completely, you know, the guy probably flew back about 5 yards, and, you know, it was just a huge hit at the right time, was, you know, that momentum gave us the swing we needed to win the football game. And so, you know, I'm a big special teams guy. You know, I was a special teams guy when I played, and you can definitely. I'm a big hit guy, period. So it's opportunities for big hits on special teams, and man, those are the ones that I really remember.
Yeah, I think that the great thing is that Colorado now has a kickoff specialist that can put it through the end zone. But last
Right,
year, even with the CU Buffs,
right.
watching Tajay McCoy and Ben Finnesseth and even like Isaiah Harge coming downhill, I mean, that was one of my favorite parts of the CU Buffs last year was just those guys on special teams. I'm sure that had to make you smile quite a few times.
It does, and shout out to those guys. They got to enjoy it now, because unfortunately that play is kind of slowly being taken away from the game. Which for us, for the defense, that's an opportunity to create huge momentum for our team. In my opinion, it's becoming more of an offensive game, and defense are just having less opportunities to make big plays. So shout out to the college game for keeping the kickoff alive. For now, we need to keep it and even bring it back. And trust me, I understand the risk involved. But I do think we've been players are getting their mentalities wrapped around keeping each other safe to an extent, and so we gotta let football players be football players. And a lot of times when you try to limit us, that's when you see a lot of guys getting hurt in the
Yeah.
first place. Is when you try to make them be unnatural as a football player. And so I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
So that hit on Robert Woods you talked about was ESPN's hit of the week. And you were at one point named CU's Male Athlete of the Week. You had a 12 tackle performance, 3 tackles for a loss, a sack against Colorado State in 2012. You won CU's Derek Singleton Award for spirit, dedication, and enthusiasm. And were also named the best interview as selected by myself and some other beat members back in 2013. Do you have any of those reminders, plaques, anything like at the crib that kind of reminds you of your time at CU?
I have a lot of gear that reminds me. Of course, I think I have my senior jersey and a football helmet, but I don't keep it at my home. I keep it at my grandma's home right now. That was the original place where we put it, and it's been there since. And so, man, I just live off the those memories, and basically, even more so the relationships that I still have. I think that's what's most important. Like you said, we was able to connect years ago, and now here we are reconnecting after life has happened. I've gotten married. I have a baby girl. All these things, these positive things are happening, and we able to reconnect and tell those stories because of that relationship that we had. I went to the pro day, and as soon as I saw you, I was like, and I usually don't call people's name because I get it. I'm afraid to get the name wrong. But I saw you, I was like, Adam? Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
I mean, that was cool. Because we had those interactions, we
Yeah.
had those interviews back then. So that's what's most important. That's what's special. Of course, I appreciate the time we had, the highs and the lows, because ultimately that's what gives you the character. It teaches you the endurance to live life, which is it's not all cheers and wins. Life is life. Life is highs and lows, and so you got to be prepared for them both, especially from a mental standpoint. And so I think that's why football is important. That's what I take away from my CU experiences. The good plays, I celebrate those, but even the dark times, which my era, we experienced some of those, right? And so I learned a lot from those times as well, and I appreciate the people. And we couldn't leave at that time. It was not a time where we can jump in the portal and go to another school because you're not having a good season or you're not getting playing time. We had to stick. We had to go through it. We had to endure, and it taught us a lot of character in the process. And so, man, that's what I really take from me, from CU, and I appreciate it.
Is there a favorite game that you had in a Buff uniform?
Ah, man. Oh, yeah. It's when we beat Utah at Utah. We beat Utah at Utah, and
2012, if memory serves.
well,
So
okay,
2012, 2011, 2012.
it had to be my redshirt junior year
Okay.
because we didn't beat them my senior year. Yeah, we beat Utah, and we were big underdogs in that game. Utah were Utah, which is a very physical team. And at that time, they had the most physical fullback in the entire conference. Who he was basically an athletic guard. Had to be about 260, 270 pounds. He was so athletic. I wish I knew that guy's name. I really wish I knew his name. But we battled for the entire game. And, the first play, I come downhill and I take him on, and he completely wipes me out. And I get up fast and I'm like, woo, I got to come harder. That's just the only thing that comes to my mind. Like, okay, next time, because it's going to be a long game. I said, next time, come harder. And the next play, boom, I came a little harder, but he still, I think he got the best of me. But by the fourth quarter, I had hit him so much and so often and so hard, just giving him all that I could that, he was basically, trying to make it. He was like, hey, man, like we going to kill each other out here, man. Let's take it easy next play. He had a conversation right there with me on the field. And so that's when I knew that, all those flicks was kind of adding up and he was feeling me just as much as I was feeling him. And so that was just a moment of battle that I always cherish. And the greatest thing is we actually won the game. But, even without that, it was more about that battle because it was a mental thing. I could have gave up that first play and like, wow, this guy's a guy, whatever, and gave up, but I kept coming, and it just taught me a lot about perseverance and resilience, just being able to get back up and keep fighting. And so that's one of my favorite games. It was a brutal game. I mean, he was a extremely physical fullback. I think he was the best in the conference. And for me to go up against him and come out as a victor, I think that was a very memorable piece in my career that I'll remember.
That was a nice jumping point off into the offseason, too, because there were 28 seniors on that team. And so just the feeling of that game leaving Salt Lake City, that's one of those where, yeah, your season didn't overall go the way you hope, but man, there was a lot of great feelings coming out of that stadium at Rice Eccles that Saturday evening. You had just a bunch of family members play football as well, right? I mean, it's always been kind of in your family growing up.
Yeah, a lot of my family played football, but you mean high school level, not a lot of college level outside of Roger Craig, of course, who's who's
just a 3-time Super Bowl champion. That's all.
He's a huge name, and he's my grandmother's first cousin. Of course, he was far removed from Mississippi, where they're from. By the time I got of age to know even who he was. And so I never got the chance to meet him actually.
Okay.
He's like I said, I think he still lives on the West Coast. He doesn't come back to Mississippi much that I know of. And so yeah, man, but just knowing that I had that type of lineage gave me confidence coming up. I'm like, what? Our cousin is who? Hold up. I'm like, wait, how's he our cousin? Your cousin, he's who moment? And all, I was able to confirm, like, okay, he's my grandma's first cousin. I was like, wow. And but I do know the Craig family, his family, his dad's people, the Craig side of our family. I do know them very well. And my cousin CJ, he and I are still close to this day. Craig Jr. So yeah, we're still very close. And I also have a little cousin, Jalen, who he plays. He just transferred, but he has one more eligibility year of his college football
Okay.
career. Mm-hmm.
You were also a spelling bee champion, both in elementary school and middle school. Do you happen to remember? This is a very random question. Do you happen to remember any of the words that were thrown your way in either of those spelling bees?
Yeah, I remember the word that got me out. Once I went to the big, like once you won the spelling bee at your school level, you went to the city level.
Okay.
And the citywide spelling bee had so many, all the winners from every school up to like 8th grade. And I was only like 5th grade. So you got kids who older, different higher grades, smarter, quote unquote. It was very intimidating. But I got out of the word subaltern, which it's spelled Subaltern. And subaltern, I spelled it Sabau. I'm hearing that all, and I'm also, I got that twang, that Memphis twang, and so I'm hearing it all, and I spelled AU instead of AL, all subaltern, and so I never forget that word. 4th grade when I won, I think the word may have been like fluke, dolphin, something like that. Yeah.
Was that natural for you, or were you like staying up at night looking through the dictionary trying to learn all these words?
Just natural. I never studied for spelling tests, spelling bees, anything like that. Well, after I won on the school level, then I would study for the city level. That's the only time I studied. But I never studied at school level. Spelling was kind of natural. It's like once I learned to read, spelling was just the opposite, or it was just reading backwards or whatever. It's just like it kind of came naturally as I learned to read. Just learning to spell. I could see a word maybe one time, and I remember how I would probably remember how to spell it.
You can see the music equipment behind you there, Derek, and you talked about kind of your just growth in that industry. But that was something that was budding at CU. I mean, I think it's 15, 16 years ago. Time flies when I say that. Man, that's crazy. Like, I still remember when you created the song Colorado Swag. It was played throughout Folsom Field during that 2009 season. I think even some subsequent seasons they would play that randomly. Talk to me about your inspiration there and kind of your thoughts about having that song played over Folsom Field as you guys ran out there.
Yeah, man, it's been great. The inspiration came from high school. So I made a school song when I was at Whitehaven High playing on the football team. I made a football song, a song for us to come out to and be hype about. And it ended up being like a big deal. It turned into like a real anthem. And we was able to rally behind it. And then, it kind of pushed the new culture of kind of what Whitehaven is today, powerhouse in the state of Tennessee. And so, I just carried that tradition with me to Colorado my freshman year. I wanted to bring some excitement. I wanted to bring some hype and, bring all that I had, on and off the field, whatever I can do to help and push the culture at CU. And we did, that freshman season. It was great. I didn't even play that year because I was redshirted, but I was able to run out to the field to a song that I created, which was great. It was the coolest thing in the world. And so, it's something that I'm continuing to do now. And, it's kind of one of those niche things as far as making football specific music. But it's something that I enjoy doing. There's been two narratives that have played throughout my entire life, being a football player and being an artist. And so the combination of the two, the combination of the two is just natural for me. And so I have a mixtape that people should be looking forward to that's coming out this fall season. It's called Colorado, the football mixtape. Right now it's about 5 songs long, and it's me and Memphis producer, Memphis Track Boy, the same producer who made Colorado Swag, and we're making Colorado football songs. Every song is Colorado. Every song is about football. All the music is clean with no cursing, but it is, rap music, heavy rap, genre type music with football specific content. And so that's something to be excited about. I'm excited about it. It's already 90% done. We're just pretty much mixing and engineering, doing that process and doing art for the covers and things of that nature right now. But I'm excited. I'm excited about it coming out this fall, this summer leading into the fall.
How can folks kind of follow your music? Are there some areas online that you're available at?
Yeah, so my artist name is Webb Star, and that's my last name, WEBBSTAR, but it's only one word. And so I'm available on all platforms: YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, on the main ones, but all of the smaller platforms as well. And so you can follow me on Webstar if you search. And Instagram is a little bit different just because that name was taken already. And so my Instagram is Web Sticky, short for Web Sticky Star. I kind of started that in college. Web Sticky Star. Web Star. That's me. So y'all can y'all can search me now. I have music out now. We just had we had a song called Mystery placed on ABC's The Rookie about 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
So that's the most recent placement that you can find our music being heard played on ABC's The Rookie.
That's awesome.
It's a show like kind of puts you in the mind of a CSI or something like that. But it was real cool. It's cool whenever you can get a placement. That's just motivation to continue doing what you're doing, confirmation that you're on the right path. And so, I've been doing it a long time, and I plan to continue it. In a bigger and better way, hopefully.
Congrats on that. That's really cool, and I can't wait to hear the new stuff you guys have coming out. Obviously there's a lot of excitement about the Buffs right now, with Coach Prime taking over and the success he's had the last couple of years.
Right.
What ways as an alumni can this current staff do a better job of just connecting with you guys from the past?
Man, I think I don't know. That's a great question. I have a lot of alums that I've had conversations with. They do feel kind of disconnected, but I think we have to take ownership on both ends. For one, we have to make as players, we have to make that initiative to come back and to want to be involved. Not just when the lights are on, but to feel our presence and support. During some of the seasons that's, not every, televised every game and, millions of viewers types where we are now. But also on the organization side, it just seems like we behind this for some of the other, teams and conferences that I know, like, these SEC conferences who they welcome their athletes back with no charge. And, I think it makes the athletes feel more valued, and we've had these kind of private conversations with some of the organizers with the alumni clubs and things, and I do appreciate them reaching out and kind of asking some of these same questions. But all in all, if you bleed black and gold, you got to be excited about the success that we experiencing right now. And, and the coaches and the players and everybody who's playing a role in our success. And, we have to, as players, we have to make, take the first step, unfortunately, sometimes in order to, get reconnected. It has to be, a 50-50, I believe. We got to also feel welcome. And, there's been alumni events, because I get the emails. There's been alumni events. Y'all people got to make sure they update their emails, because some of y'all not getting the emails. I've gone to some of the alumni events, which have created some of the opportunities that I have right now. So there are opportunities. Some of it is miscommunication, and I think the disconnect, though, is when, when you put a lot of blood and investment into the into the program, certain things you don't expect to have to, go through hoops and all these other things in order to, be physically present at some of the football events. And I think that's one of the main things that athletes kind of get discombobulated about. But the reality is, and I've had to accept this myself, I was a 2-time captain. I didn't go on to do things in the NFL. But for those who did, they, those guys, for those who did, that's great for the program. And to have those guys coming back, that's great exposure for the program. And they are prioritized. I think they should be prioritized, But for me, like I accepted the reality that there's 20, 30 guys each class that graduated since I've been graduated 10, 15 years ago. And if everybody want to come back, it's just not enough space for everybody to get all the access, And that's just the reality. I don't think people should be upset about it. But that's kind of, where I think a lot of people may get upset with the program to feel like they're not as welcome because the red carpet is not just laid out for us to come back to stuff.
Yeah. What's been your favorite player that you've gotten a chance to watch during the Coach Prime era with the Buffs?
Ooh. Man, on deep. Oh man, oh my God, favorite player, huh?
I saw a little Vont Bentley. I saw some Derrick Webb and Vont Bentley last year.
Yeah, Vont Bentley was a specimen. Both of those linebackers, the prior year they were very physical. So, yeah, man, it took me back to me and Doug, me and Addison, me and John Major. It took me back to those days to see them guys flying around and getting downhill, man. Of course, as far as just the physical, the physical strength of Bentley. I wish I had that when I played. Play style, I can see some similarities, but that guy is a tank. He really is. He's NFL ready, and so I definitely wish him success. And in his process, I definitely think he deserves an opportunity. And as well as the other linebacker who left, I think he played great, and so I can see why he got his opportunity as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know when we chatted at Pro Timing Day, you were going to catch up with Parker Orms. He's obviously doing amazing work with his cowboy hat company. Are there some other teammates you still keep in contact with from your time at CU?
Yeah, of course. Parker Orms is my guy. He was at my wedding. I'm looking forward, to being at his wedding. I keep in contact with my linebacker bros, Doug Rippey, John Major. They tap in with me from time to time. We used to play Call of Duty, but since I had my baby girl, I haven't been able to do all that. So, yeah, man. Terrell Smith, I was able to connect with him down in Memphis. He's doing great in his business and in the training.
He was in the military for a while. Is that correct?
Terrell Smith.
No, not Terrell. I'm thinking of Paul Vito, I think.
Paul Vito was in the military for a while. Yeah. I don't know if he's still in there or not, but it's been a while since I connected with Paul Vigo, but that's my brother. If he called me tomorrow, it'd be like we just talked yesterday. And
Terrell had a lot of heart, though. He was, height challenged out there, but man, he gave it everything he had when he was out there. I always appreciated his effort.
Yeah, Paul Vigo gave everything. I remember him playing through a lot of injuries, shoulder injuries, wrapped up, taped up, and still out there, at the inside backup position, taking on fullbacks and guards like nothing's happened. So he's definitely a tough guy. I can see why he joined the military. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to let you get going back to your life here, Derrick, and I really appreciate you for taking the time out to join us. It's been a lot of fun to kind of stroll down memory lane. I guess my last question before we close out, as a forever Buff, what are your hopes for the CU football program going forward?
Man, I hope to see you, you know, sustain this momentum and just kind of create a foundation that's built to last, you know, instead of just having these eras, these times of, you know, 2 or 3 seasons for us to really kind of, you know, spread our wings as a program and take that next step, you know, where we can have people can talk about the 90s, I'm talking about 10-year, dynasty type periods, because the potential is there, as far as the landscape. There's no place in the country like Colorado, training at that altitude with the history that Colorado has. I think it's a lot of attractive elements that can pull athletes in, and I like what's going on now, because I think we are putting some of those pieces in place as far as investing in the facilities and things of that nature that a lot of the athletes prioritize. And so I think we headed in the right direction, and that's kind of, that's all you can really ask for, something that's a real foundation, to where when Prime, if he decides to move on, or just when the time runs out, because nothing is permanent. Everything is kind of temporary, and so even after the Prime era, I would like to see the program sustain.
Awesome. Great stuff, Derek. Well, again, it was really great to catch up with you, and I appreciate you for taking the time out. And I'm anxious to check out that new music you're going to have coming out for Colorado. You said it's going to be kind of a fluid release sometime late summer, early fall?
Sometime late summer. I'm thinking about releasing it kind of during that camp time for it, when they'll be going in fall camp, because I remember how fall camp was how it was for me, kind of getting locked into a mentality, a griminess, a focus. And so we were listening to music, our favorite artists all the time, to help us kind of get into that mode. So I think that'd be a good time for the athletes to, to get in, connected with the music and develop that grit and develop that pride through the music. And so that's my goal through the music. I want to bring back pride, tradition, and I want to, just culture in general. I want to be able to influence the culture in that type of way. And so I hope everybody enjoys it. I'm sure you will. And once again, it's all clean. That's the best thing about it. You can play it during tailgates. You don't have to worry about profane music, you play it with your grandma, with your kids, it don't matter. Yes, it's going to be aggressive. Yes, it's about football, but it's hype. And it can get you ready, pumped up for the games. I'm excited about it.
Well, my car trips with my kids to school are gonna get more lively here coming up when that comes out. So I love it. But yeah, Derek, I always admired you. Yeah, you've done things the right way, and best of luck going forward in your life.
Absolutely. Maybe post-release we can do a follow-up. We can do I don't know, y'all can critique it. Buff people we can do some question and answers, anything. So
that's awesome.
I'm definitely leaving that door open. You got my contact, so whenever you want to catch up, just let me know.
Sounds great, Derek. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody out there for tuning in.
Look into my eyes, I can tell that you afraid, cause you know we finna hit ya. Hey, you on your own now, why you watching the official? You just better hope you make it to the next whistle. And we ain't playing with you, you can get it anytime. It started at the scrimmage, we gon' win it at the line. My Colorado swag in the middle of the ring, throwing blows, knocking down team after team. They like my Colorado swag, cause when I'm in that play, I don't really know just how to act. And when I'm in that goal, you know I'm acting bad. Holla, get a bus with my Colorado swag. My Colorado swag, my Colorado swag. I think they like my Colorado swag. My Colorado swag, my Colorado swag. Man, I swear I think they like my Colorado swag. Have you ever seen around? I'm Boulder, Colorado. Buffalo is what I am. All the teams come and follow. When I start hit the field, the opposing crowd swallow. feel. He gon' feel that tomorrow. Whole team full of warriors. Got me feeling tribal. Big 12, here we come. We ain't worried about a rival. If you want it, come and get it. We'll wait for your arrival. When you hit this Folsom field, man, it's all about survival. Pray you make it, yeah, you better bring your Bible. Crack back, blind side, flat line, no revival. Get them buffs, mess them up, we say we got them. If we don't, then we'll get them. When we see them, then we have them. Like my Colorado swag, cause when I'm in that flag, I don't really know just how to act. And when I'm in that goal, you know I'm acting bad. Holla, get them buffs with my Colorado swag. My Colorado swag, my Colorado swag. I think they like my Colorado swag. My Colorado swag, my Colorado swag. Man, I swear, I think they like my Colorado swag. I think they like my Colorado swag. Cause when I'm in that flag, I don't really know just how to act. And when I'm in that goal, you know I'm acting bad. Holla, get a bus with my Colorado swag. My Colorado swag, my Colorado swag. I think they like my Colorado swag. My Colorado swag, my Colorado swag. Man, I swear, I think they like my Colorado swag.